What's up, YouTube? It's your boy TeeJax, back with another video. TeeJaxson, Tristan, whatever you want to call me. It's been a minute. My whole setup is different. I have a ring light now, so like I'm finally gonna be brighter than my background, which is nice. Ignore background noise. Our roommates are doing whatever they're doing, but this is between you and me right now, so come on, we chillin'. I'm gonna be doing like a review of every single matchup of the NBA playoffs for the first round. I wanted to do previews for all the second round matchups, but game one of the Cavs series, the Celtics and the Nuggets series has already been played, so it's not even really a point in doing that. Warriors series is about to commence right now. Probably not even gonna get this video out before that's over, so not even a point. I'm gonna start this video by going over the teams in the Eastern Conference. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 1-8 matchup, the 2-7, the 3-6, and then the 4-5, and then do the same thing for the West. I would have liked to have done the series as they ended, but I had work, I had finals, I had a lot of stuff going against me. So we're back on the YouTube grind, you know what I'm saying? So we won't get it popping. I want to get in a rhythm of making about a video a week. I have some older videos that I can post, or maybe I'll remake. We'll figure it out, but I got content built up, but we're gonna do this for now. Starting in the East, we have the Cavs versus the Heat. First game was pretty close for a minute. Then, you know, the Cavs pulled away, which, I mean, we can expect, you know, Cavs, best team in the NBA, pulling away on their home court. Nothing about that is crazy. Then the second game, if I'm not mistaken, the Heat brought it back really close at the end, but, you know, lost, which once again, very disappointing for the Heat, but not something that anybody didn't expect. What I don't think anybody expected, though, was the Heat losing in historic fashion for the next 2 games straight. It was really embarrassing and weird that the games weren't even that far apart when they were in the Cavs arena, but on the Heat's home court, they got absolutely fucking destroyed, which I'm not really understanding where the difference is so harsh there, but he got fucked up. I don't really have anything else to say about the series other than the Heat absolutely need to rebuild. It's very clear that a team of now just Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo is absolutely not enough to carry you to any sort of championship contention. I have a feeling both Hero and Adebayo are going to be on the move in the offseason. The Cavs had a very solid outing, as they should have, and they're getting ready for round 2. Next, we're going to move on to the 2-7 matchup, Celtics versus the Magic. Now, I actually forgot which game in the series that the Magic won. Yeah, the Magic won game 3 of this series, and it's not like I didn't expect them to get one on their home floor, but I actually didn't expect this series to be as competitive as it was. The Magic did like a really good job of just getting the Celtics out of their rhythm, getting them out of their spots. The Celtics love to just like move, like throw the ball around, like chuck up, you know, like threes type shit. We know that they can make them, but the Magic really just made them very uncomfortable. Other than like Corey Joseph, like they didn't really have anybody on the floor at any time that the Celtics could like target. So yeah, they made it like a really physical, really grinded out series. They were able to take a game on their home court. Good for them. But I think everybody and their mama knew that Boston was going to win this series. Next, we're moving on to the Knicks versus the Pistons. If you don't know, I'm from Michigan. I'm living in Ann Arbor right now. I've lived in Michigan my entire life. So seeing the Pistons finally make it back to the playoffs, they've only been to the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, 3 times in my entire life, maybe 4, but it's only been like 3 times since I was old enough to watch the NBA, and both of the last 2 times that they made it, they got swept, absolutely fucking smacked. So very happy to see the Pistons actually win a game in the playoffs this year. Could have won game 1 in MSG, but they just blew it, fucking threw it all away. And then they come back and pull out an incredible game 2. A lot of people counted them out and they're like, oh, they played an incredible game 1. If they can't even win that game, then they're probably done in 4 or 5 in this series. Pistons storm back, win game 2, going back to Detroit. The Knicks locked in and tightened up. Game 3 was really close down to the end. I don't think there was anything controversial about the game. The Knicks just pulled out a close one. And then in game 4, We have the controversial end of the game where Cade Cunningham misses a pull-up mid-range, gets kicked out somehow, some way through some scraps to fucking Tim Hardaway, who absolutely, not even a fucking question, gets fouled by Josh Hart on the 3. We can't act like that's the entire reason they lost, but as a fan of the Pistons, like, it's hard for me not to just kind of sit here and be salty about that. I've seen like a lot of like other basketball YouTubers that I watch say that the call wasn't the reason that the whole game went the Knicks' way, so we can't really just sit here and harp on that. And just the playoffs, it's been physical, but you have to call that. You can't hold your whistle on like a very clear like body contact play on the last play of the game that is the deciding factor. I get it if it's like something weak and it's like, I don't want the free throws to end up winning a very close, very physical game on a weak call. I can completely concede that, but what I definitely do not understand is holding your whistle on just a very obvious call right in front of the refs. Regardless, the Pistons were able to make the series interesting. They were able to take it to 6. I personally actually had the Pistons winning the series in 7. I think in hindsight that was a little bit of bias. I definitely underestimated how good Jalen Brunson was going to play in this series. I know he's an incredible player and he had a good regular season, but I actually don't think he was as good this regular season as last regular season. And I think a lot of that had to do with the Knicks having some confusion between like the roster retooling and stuff like that. But regardless, Jalen Brunson was definitely the best player in the series. Some notes for the Pistons. Pistons moving forward are a very strong team. They're young. They have some vets on their team. Maybe the vets will get moved around here and there, but the Pistons definitely have a bright future. We can like trade for a star. I don't really think that we need to. We could maybe run it back next year with the same team, let our young core get a little bit better, and then the year after that, maybe trade a combination of our vets and our young talent for a star. I don't think we just need to blow it up just yet and completely change the roster around, but I'm sorry, the Cavs Pacers game 2 is in the background right now and Donovan Mitchell's going fucking crazy. Yes, the Pistons made it interesting. I think the Pistons are going to be a good team for years to come, which is very exciting for me and my boys to watch a good Pistons team, thank fucking God. And the Knicks are gamers. The Knicks just beat the Celtics in game 1 the other day of the second round, but that's not what this video is about. But yeah, Knicks win. It was a close series, super physical. I think that was the best series of the first round, maybe second best, but I'll get into that a little bit later. And then with our final series, we have one that was very disappointing for me. I'm a huge fan of Giannis, and seeing the Bucks lose to the Pacers in the way that they did was just sad. Dame was hurt, towards the end of the regular season with a deep vein thrombosis. Came back in record unprecedented time. We're hearing that, Dame is going to come back. The series is going to get interesting. The Pacers won the first 2 on their home court. Not crazy. The Bucks role players didn't step up at fucking all. And Giannis was Giannis, and Giannis went crazy. Besides some missed free throws, which we can't really be like too mad at. He still played incredible. We're going back to Milwaukee for game 3. Bucks down 2-0 to the Pacers. Dame is coming back. Things are looking to be apparently on the up and up. And they pull that game out due to some incredible heroics from Gary Trent with a fucking 39 points and like 7 threes. Giannis with like 35 or something like that. They're the first Bucks duo ever to put up 35 plus points in the same game in the playoffs, which is insane. And then game 4, when things can get really interesting if the series gets tied up 2-2, Damian Lillard tears his Achilles on a non-contact injury. I only have 2 players' jerseys. I mean, I have like 5, but like I've only ever asked for 2 players' jerseys in my entire life. And those players are Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard. I have a Steph Curry jersey and a Damian Lillard jersey, both in my closet right now. Damian Lillard for years in Portland was one of my favorite players, and just to see his time in Milwaukee be as shaky as it has is just really disappointing. I knew he was getting up there in age, and I knew the injuries weren't helping, but I really thought that Dame and Giannis were just going to be this force to be reckoned with in the playoffs for years to come. but just hasn't gone that way. Dame gets injured, Bucks go down 3-1, and then in game 5, they start going fucking crazy. Gary Trent is going crazy. Giannis is playing out of his mind. The game coming down to the last second. I was about to turn this game off. I was watching it with my friend at his crib. We were trying to watch the fucking Pistons game. And I was like, you know what? Let's turn it here. The game is ending. Let's just watch the end of this game. Bucks are up by 8, or Bucks are up by 7 with about 40 seconds left in the game. And to lose? How are you up by 7 with 40 seconds left and you lose the game? Pacers go on an 8-0 run, if I'm not mistaken, to pull that one out. Tyrese Halliburton sauced the fuck out of Giannis the last play of the game. Oh boy. And then Giannis and Halliburton's dad got into it when the game was over. I don't really know what that's about. And Halliburton's dad is suspended from Pacers games indefinitely, which I think is way too far. I think Halliburton needed to stand up for his dad a little bit more in like the press conference and like with, you know, the management of the team. But Halliburton's dad said, hey, it's on me. I understand why the Pacers are moving forward with banning me, blah, blah, this and that. But that's not the more important part of the series. The more important part is the Pacers got counted out by way too many people, including myself. I had the Bucks winning that series in 7 games. I thought it was going to be super interesting, but I definitely had the Bucks pulling that one out, especially after hearing that Dame was going to come back to the series, and it didn't matter, which Dame did get injured, and the only game that they won was the game that Dame played the whole game. But Damian Lillard still didn't play good in the game that he played, but him being the floor spacer and having the gravity that he does definitely still helped the Bucks win that game, even if like Dame didn't have like a Damian Lillard playoff game that we know he's capable of. So yeah, that wraps it up in the East. Cavs won decisively. Heat need to blow it up. Celtics won decisively, but it was a good contest from the Magic. Magic need to get rid of KCP and get some better shooters on the team. Pistons versus Knicks. Knicks are a good team. What a surprise. And the Pistons are going to be really good in the future. Maybe they need to get a star, but I think that they just chill and let the young talent build. And then Bucks versus Pacers. Bucks need to fucking blow it up. I'm sorry. No other way to put it. Dame is only getting older. The injuries are wreaking havoc on his body. As much as I love Dame, I don't think Dame will ever be the same player again. And then Giannis, we're wasting one of the greatest players in league history right now. If he stays with Milwaukee, they will not do shit next year. I don't even think this roster can retool. I think Kyle Kuzma sucks. I'm playing. Well, I'm not playing, but I think the roster just isn't deep enough. Kyle Kuzma played like shit. Bobby Portis was pretty good, and Robin Lopez is just old and slow. So with Dame getting worse, with Giannis getting older, he's still not old by any means, but with Giannis getting older, I think it's time for him to move on to a new team. I think the Bucks need to seriously restart. They don't have any of like their first round picks for like years in the future. Blow it up, Bucks. And yeah, let's move on to the West now. All right, moving out west. We have the first series, which is the 1 versus the 8 OKC Thunder versus the Memphis Grizzlies. The series wasn't close. I watched all of game 1, surprisingly, yes, the entire game, just because I knew I wasn't going to watch any other games in the series. I thought the Grizzlies had a chance to make it competitive, and by make it competitive, I mean have a couple close games and maybe win one. I would have bet literally everything in my bank account that this series was not going more than 5 games, and it went 4. First game, if I'm not mistaken, the Grizzlies lost by like a top 3, top 2, maybe even the worst blowout in NBA history in the playoffs. OKC just showed everything that they had: the depth, the length, the defense, the speed, the height, the versatility of lineups. And SGA didn't even have a good game, and they still just dominated the Grizzlies from front to back. Game 2 was a little bit closer, but I mean, it was still a blowout. It was a little over 20 points. Game 3 was different though. Game 3, the Grizzlies were actually the ones up by almost 30 at one point in the game. Then Ja gets hurt, and the Thunder storm back and somehow win that game. And they ended up winning by not even like 1 or 2. I think they won by like 9 points, which that's like a 37-point swing in the second half of the game, which is very sad if you're a Grizzlies fan. I mean, like, you at least want to get one in a playoff series and not see your team get swept. But seeing your team get swept in the fashion that the Grizzlies did and their star player get hurt, I mean, they lost every type of game in this series. They lost close games, they got blown the fuck out, and then they were about to have a blowout and then came back on with, once again, their best player being injured. What a shitty way for them to go out. They made game 4 really competitive, even without Ja. They only lost by 2, if I'm not mistaken, but what can you do? It's the fucking OKC Thunder. They are some motherfuckers. Even though they don't have a ton of playoff experience, they're the best team in the NBA. I know I said the Cavs earlier, but the Thunder are the real best team in the NBA. They're young. I don't like the Thunder. I don't dislike them, but like, I'm not like a fan of the Thunder. But I think it's undeniable how good they are. I think that the Thunder are going to be one of the top teams in the NBA until they hit the second apron and have to pay Chet and J-Dub a ridiculous amount of money. So I think even if the Thunder don't win this year, they're going to be the 1-2 seed in the West for the next 3-4 years. I think on the Grizzlies side of things, I think they just have to stay the course. I don't really think that you can retool or like rebuild the roster as of right now. I think you just need to give it another year or two of hoping that Ja is healthy, Jaren and Bane step up and play their role, and see where you go from there. Next, we're going to move on to the 2-7 series out west, which was the Warriors versus the Rockets. Rockets 2 seed, Warriors 7 seed. I, like most people, actually had the Warriors winning the series despite the Rockets being the 2 seed. And that's for a few factors that reared their head in this series. I'm a Golden State Warriors fan through and through. I've been a Warriors fan since like 2013, since I was playing 2K14, when I just liked the colors blue and gold because that was my high school's colors. Like, that was my school district's colors in general, was blue and gold. And I, funny enough, go to Michigan right now, the University of Michigan, which is also blue and gold, which is cool. I got to stick with blue and gold like my whole life. But I played with them in 2K14 just because they were blue and gold, been a fan ever since, and I just so happened to be lucky to just become a fan of one of the greatest dynasties of all time. I just lucked into that. I probably would have started watching them regardless because, as you can see by the poster up there, I just love Steph Curry and the way he plays. I've tried to model my game in real life off of him. But yeah, I was rooting for the Warriors big time in this series. I thought they were going to win this series in 6 personally. That was my bid, but I knew the Rockets were going to make this a very physical, very tough series, and they really did. They did a good job at limiting Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, which Jimmy did get hurt in game 2. At the end of the day, the experience from the Warriors, I think, was just able to dominate the Rockets. The Rockets just didn't have enough shooting. Warriors take game 1 pretty confidently. I thought this series might have even been over in 5 after game 1, but the Rockets stormed back. They win a tough, very physical game 2 after Jimmy Butler gets hurt and is out. And I'm not gonna lie, how stagnant the Warriors offense was in game 2, I was like, I think without Jimmy, I honestly thought we were gonna lose game 3, which made me think this Warriors series was gonna go to 7 and maybe even have the Rockets win the series. And it did go to 7, but the Warriors were able to pull it off. They won game 3 without Jimmy somehow. I thought that would only be possible with like a Buddy Hield or a Jonathan Kuminga legacy game, and we didn't even really get that. Jonathan Kuminga played pretty poorly that game actually, and Buddy Hield played good. They were able to pull out game 3 due to some just all around effort from the Warriors, and then they won game 4 with Jimmy back, even though Jimmy was hurt. And I thought the series was going to end in 6. I had a feeling that the Rockets were going to win game 5, but not the way they did. They blew the fuck out of the Warriors. Then the Warriors' second lineup comes in the game, goes crazy, storms the game back. People were blaming Steve Kerr for not bringing the starters back into the game when they brought it back. I think they got it down to like 13 at its lowest. I don't think you should have put the starters in until it got to like single digits. I'm okay with Steve Kerr keeping the lineup that went crazy and brought the game back in. They forced the Rockets to bring their starters back in, and I was pretty confident that going into game 6, that momentum from the Warriors, along with the Rockets getting stunned a little bit and having to come back at the end of the game, I thought the Warriors were going to regroup and confidently win at home by maybe even double digits. And no, the Rockets just played a hard-ass game. The Warriors looked tired as fuck, and they were able to extend it to a 7th game where, even though Curry didn't have a great game to start, Buddy Hield was able to keep the Warriors in the game with an incredible shooting performance, 9 3-pointers, 33 points. Jimmy did his thing, played decent, had like 20 points. Draymond had 16, his first time scoring double digits in the whole series. Curry had 22, 10, and 7 after a good fourth quarter, after not being great for like the whole game. But we knew that they were going to blitz Curry the whole game, so he wasn't like trying to play out of rhythm. He tried to be patient and let the rest of the guys get into the game. So good series from the Warriors. I think they're a little bit tired going into the next series, but I had the Warriors winning. Most people did, but the Rockets made it competitive. Good for them. I think the Rockets should trade for a star. I know I just said that the Pistons shouldn't blow it up. They're a young team and they can just let their young players ride. But I think that the Rockets, when it comes to Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet, are kind of on their timeline because they're such an integral part of the team, and those guys are only getting older, and I'm not confident in their ability to play at a high level with the rest of the team growing. So I think that you need to get rid of those two guys, unfortunately, and I think that you need to go out and get a star, which Rockets fans might not like to hear, but you know. And then when it comes to the Warriors, I think they're a good team. I think they're getting older. I think they only have another year, max 2 years of being a good team. So I really think that they need to try and get the shit done this year and win a championship. Coming from a Warriors fan, I'm hoping they win, but let's move on to the next series. Timberwolves, Lakers. I mean, wow. What else can you say other than Anthony Edwards is that nigga? Like actually, what else can you say? Ant is him. Ant fucked up. Another old head. Eliminated KD from the playoffs last year. Eliminated LeBron from the playoffs this year. Luka got Ant out in the playoffs last year. Now Anthony Edwards got Luka out of there this year. So many storylines. I thought this was going to be a fire-ass series that went to like 7 games. But at the end of the day, the Lakers just didn't have it in them. I think Luka played pretty decent throughout the whole series, but he was a cone on defense. LeBron, we just have to accept, isn't the same LeBron that we knew and loved during the late 2000s and early 2010s. He just can't take over a playoff series and will a team to success himself the way that he used to be able to. And the Lakers supporting cast is just not as good as the Timberwolves, as seen by the fact that Rudy Gobert put up fucking 27 and 23 in the game 5 that they won to close out the series. Jaxson Hayes was never gonna fucking do that, and therefore the Lakers were gonna lose this series if LeBron and Luka didn't play fucking insane, and they didn't. Luka played like Luka, maybe a little bit slower than we'd expect, and LeBron plays like an aging LeBron. And Anthony Edwards played like the next coming of MJ with a 3-point shot. There's nothing the Lakers could have done with the way that the Timberwolves played. I think that there is a world where the Lakers won that series, but as we saw in real life, it didn't happen. The Timberwolves were just better. So yeah, I think moving forward, the Lakers need to retool the roster around Luka better next year. And I think that the Timberwolves are a great team despite having a shaky regular season and despite trading away Towns. Moving on to our last matchup of the video, we have the number 4 Nuggets versus the number 5 Clippers. I had the Clippers winning this series in 7 before the series started, and lucky me, it went to 7 and the Clippers fucking lost. I've always liked James Harden. I'm personally left-handed, and ignore the cyst on my hand, but I'm personally left-handed, and growing up I loved watching James Harden do his thing as like another lefty guard who cooks and shoots threes, which is like how I play. And yeah, I thought at one point like my NBA comparison was like James Harden based on like how I like to play in rec and shit like that. So I just finally wanted to see James Harden win a ring, and then Kawhi winning another ring with a third team and probably being the one that would win Finals MVP would just be such a great storyline and just make his career even more of an enigma to those who didn't watch it in live time. But at the end of the day, wasn't happening. The Nuggets just dominated the Clippers in game 7. I mean, the Clippers just rolled over and died after playing so good during the series, being up 2-1 at one point and damn near going up 3-1 if it wasn't for the closest buzzer beater in NBA history that just so happened to be in the playoffs with Aaron Gordon's putback dunk. I thought this series was going to be great, and it was great until game 7 where the Clippers rolled over and died. I was singing the praises of James Harden, and his success in the playoffs all series, I was like, oh, look at this, playoff Harden. He's no longer a choker. He's finally having a good series. And I thought that even if they lost Game 7, Harden was still going to have a 25-11 Harden night. And he didn't. He had 7 points on 8 total shot attempts and shit the bed. So there goes me being a James Harden fan. What do I think that this means? I think that the Clippers don't have any choice. They don't have enough young pieces. They don't have enough picks to trade to make this team good and competitive. And I don't think a team is going to give back to them what they would want for Harden and Kawhi. And I think that their best bet is just to stick with Kawhi and Harden, try to retool the roster around a bit. Maybe they'll make it to the second round of the playoffs next year, but with an aging Kawhi and Harden, I don't think that there's much they can do. The silver lining to this season was that Zubac is incredible. He's one of the best centers. Zubac might be a top 3, top 4 center in the league right now. He's really just him. And I think that the Clippers are just kind of screwed for their future. I think Harden, Kawhi, that duo is just going to fizzle out, and I don't know what the Clippers can even do to combat that. The Nuggets, I think that they're a great team. I think that with some stepping up from their role players and with Jokic and Murray playing the way that we know that they can play, they really can win any series. And I do mean that. I think that they can beat the Thunder, and I think they could beat whoever comes out of the East if necessary. But that's only if guys on the side step up, including like Russell Westbrook, which we got a very fun Westbrook series. And if Murray just plays the way that we know he can play with like a 23 and 6-7 a night-ish, 6-7. And then Jokic obviously being him, putting up fucking 27, 13, and 9 a game. Like, they can win any series if those guys are playing like that. Yeah, y'all, that wraps this video up. Like this video. If you liked this video, please subscribe. I'm trying to get the more subscribers than I have right now. More content coming from me soon, and if somehow you made it to the end, I do appreciate you. Previews coming or reviews of the second round come when the second round is over, but we'll get there when we get there. Peace.